there right now. However you
That's
want
right.
to do it.
Caloose. Have a margarita, which seems a hot topic in the comments.
Yeah. Ooh, and we are live over on YouTube, so we're going to start this podcast in 3,
Sup, 2.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Comic Book Club. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And we are coming to you live from a bunch of different places. YouTube, Crowdcast, also the podcast internet. We're coming to you from iTunes and Spotify and Stitcher.
We don't have to list them all.
Keep listing every place.
Drizzly.
Drizzly, that alcohol delivery.
Seamless.
Alcohol delivery service. We're live? Yeah.
We're Kiki's delivery service as well. That's what you said, right?
Sorry, Pete. I was just air drumming, which is something I do all the time.
Is it because you've seen a certain thing? Is that why?
I don't know. No, just something I'm talking about.
We'll have to wait.
Oh, boy, this is very exciting. This is a nice tease for our Patreon podcast. Right at the top of our live podcast.
Right.
This is great.
Bring him in.
I'll tell you what.
Come into the tent, baby.
I don't want to spend too much time on this because we have 2 great guests for everybody tonight. But
sure do.
We are getting in jokes at this point. We're taping so many podcasts. I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, it's getting crazy.
No shame there. No worries there. Just inside baseball.
Yeah. So as mentioned, we have 2 great guests for you, and I'm going to welcome the first one right here into the stream right now. He is a returning guest to the show. He's the creator of Penultiman from Ahoy Comics. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Peyer. Hello, Tom.
Hey!
How are you?
Hey.
Thanks for having me on the morning zoo.
Oh, no
welcome.
problem.
Brap, brap.
Wait, I do actually have some sound effects, but they're never at the ready. There we go. Hold on.
Sucking on a cheesesteak.
Oh, boy.
Like all great Zoo Morning crews, it takes a little while to get it going.
Craig, the frat head or whatever, he's like, hold on, I gotta find it. It's under a stack of stuff. My sound cue right now.
Sorry, Squeezebox, just gotta dig up the buttons. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, and then I actually went away from the button. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wow, see? It's real. Anyway, this is deeply rude.
Yes. Tom, thank you so much for coming back. Let's talk about Penultiman. So to start off, at least the way that it's being sold, it's a little bit of a Superman riff. This is something that we see a lot. There's a lot of different takes on Superman. Would you say that's accurate to the comic? And
it's in there. It's not like we're trying to do an unauthorized issue of Superman. There's a lot of differences, but we do not have him turn evil and kill people. So we're like pretty unique in that way.
Yes.
Head of the game.
Well, why is that? I mean, why? I mean, I think I know why, but from your perspective, why are so many people riffing on Superman in particular? Is it just because of the enduring story of Superman? Is it because that's a very easy sales angle and then you can spin the story out emotionally however you want? How do you look at it?
Well, he's the Book of Genesis of comics. I mean, everything. He's the seed, the world tree,
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you keep thinking about him and going back to him? Depending on when you grew up, he's a lot of different characters, really.
Yeah. I was born in 1932, so if that gives you any...
Perfect.
Yes.
You were discovered in a rocket ship, right, Alex?
He's like a 2-fisted social justice warrior to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so what's your take? What's your riff on this? If we do want to start there, what is the pitch for Penultiman?
Penultiman is a universally admired and beloved superhero who is very powerful and who deep down just hates his own guts. And to the point where it really becomes a problem. He's just not connecting with people that well anymore, and he's not making the best decisions. And he's got an android who helps him out, you see there, named Anti-Penultiman, who sees that this unacknowledged pain is in Penultiman and decides he wants to fix him. So that's really the whole story. For 5 issues is a robot trying to fix the person and the person trying not to be fixed.
Well, where did
that's
this
fun.
start? Oh, go ahead, Justin.
I was just going to say, we've talked about this a lot lately, especially with DC Comics and including Superman. You don't really get inside their heads nearly as much as Marvel Comics or any of the other sort of larger superheroes. Do you feel like you want to get inside a hero like that's head and really see what makes them tick and what actual problems they might have?
Well, that's the job, isn't it? You're trying to write a person, and you're trying to write a person who's not just like the last person wrote about, and as far as Superman having like an interior life, I knew what it was when I was 6 years old. I mean, I completely accept Superman for what he is. I think he's great. I wish there were more like him. But and he really, actually, his personality really helped determine a lot about my life, not only my job, but just the way I see and think about things. He was a perfect model for me early on of a person who had great power and didn't use it in his own interests, hardly ever. Used it in the interest of the weak and the people who couldn't do it for themselves. And so as a kid, I read that and I thought, well, this is what America is. I'm growing up in the right country, and boy, was I surprised.
So where did this start with? Was it the idea of Superman-style character but depressed, or was there an emotional thing that you started with from real life or otherwise? Where do stories come from
This one came from just a particular gag that ended up being issue 1. Where he goes away to a distant place on a mission, and he leaves in his android assistant in charge of both of his identities. And when he comes back a few days later, all of the ongoing nagging problems he's ever faced have been solved by his understudy.
Oh, wow.
Like his archenemy has reformed. And the people in the office at work like him now. And so this really opens up, it provokes a lot of feelings in Penultiman that go back to his rejection by the people of his own time. He was born in the far future, and he's very, very, very evolved to us, but not to them, not to the people who live in that time. He's a throwback to them. So they evicted him. And,
I feel like humor and comedy are so important to the comics you've been working on lately. Why is that? As the rest of the industry sort of like continues to be pretty dark, why is your focus over here on the comedy side?
We want to be entertaining. I think there's nothing more entertaining than something that's funny. Sure. They don't have to be comedies, but they have to be funny on some level, and they can't take themselves too seriously. And, there's I don't know, I just have always responded to that. That's what I want to be, as entertaining as possible. And that's the tool. There's a lot of what I call shame-based comics where people get really serious in a way that is not really justified by the content. But it's to show these aren't for kids. Look, here's sexual assault. These aren't for kids. These are smart, and that makes me sick.
That's so funny you say that, because to me it's actually more childlike to be like, look, I'm a grown-up. I do grown-up stuff. Exactly. Like I have all these like mean spikes on my armor. When really I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
Well, what about in general? I think the last time we had you on the show, it was towards the beginning of the pandemic. Now that things are starting to open up again, what does that mean for Ahoy Comics going forward?
Well, Ahoy Comics gained weight and got very forgetful. Other than that, we're still going along. We had to, our publisher's Hart Seeley, and he never gave us a pencils down order because he's great. And he just kept paying people to work when this whole thing happened. But it did mean that we were more reluctant and slower to approve new projects, because who knew if there was going to be a society in 6 months, or if there would be stores, or if there would be, So, but now we're getting back into it. We just approved a bunch of new projects, and
Yeah.
And when everything sort of, when like the distributor and the stores opened up again, we just put out everything we had. We were doing like 5 titles at once, which is big for us.
Wow.
Yeah.
And, that's sort of running out. But we have more stuff coming and more stuff after that.
Great.
Awesome. Anything
That's
in particular
great.
you can tease coming up?
Well, we've announced a couple things that I think are great. And I didn't write them, so I can say that. Snelson, I'm really excited about. It's about a stand-up comic. It's a 5-issue miniseries about a stand-up comic, and he's a stand-up comic who was edgy and young in the 90s, and he dressed really alternatively. And now it's 2021, and he's still that same guy, that same comic, dressing the same way. And he's wondering why nobody's interested in him anymore, and he figures he's been canceled. It's by Paul Constant and Fred Harper, and it's beautiful. It's so great. And we've got the first issue has a variant cover by Peter Baggy, who's
nice.
Cool.
my idols. And so that's good. That's good. We have one. Eric Palicki created this other series we're coming out with, called Black's Myth, MYTH, Black apostrophe S. And it's about a private detective who loves punk rock and is a werewolf. That's pretty good, as you might imagine.
Yeah.
Wendell Cavalcanti's the artist.
That's awesome. Those are qualities I admire in anyone.
Oh, yeah. Those are the 3,
Yeah.
Not a werewolf, deal breaker.
Yeah. Come on, grow up. At this day and age,
Yeah.
feels like there's a full moon every night.
Yeah. I don't know if I talked about Alan Robinson yet, though, about Penultiman. I just want to get a word in about him, because he made this book. His characters have the emotional range of dogs, I mean, which is wider than the emotional range of Shakespeare.
Shakespeare tried to write for dogs, and he actually
tried. He could not. He just couldn't pass himself off as a dog because he didn't feel things deeply enough. But Alan Robinson's characters do. They're better than Shakespeare in that way. And it's got this like sheen of superhero rendering that's wonderful. But really, it's all about the characters' of emotions. And he puts them through everything without changing his style at all. Comedy to tragedy in one panel. And that's what Penultiman needed.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Are you saying that we as a people are evolving toward more emotion on our faces? Based on Penultiman as the highly evolved.
But then when you get to the ultimates after him, they're all just blank.
They're just
makes sense.
Peak pointed to the A on their head.
Yeah, he's penultimate, and that's kind of where that peaks. And after that, people get perfect after that. And the perfect people at the end of evolution, Alan drew them so disgusting. So it was just wonderful.
That's awesome. And the book is out now, right? People can pick it up.
Yeah, the book's out now, and it'll be in. It's in comic shops, and it'll be in bookstores. I think next week.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's May 25th.
Awesome.
If people want to check it out. Tom, so
Thank you.
good to see you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We will definitely have you on again. Have a good night.
Great, thank you.
Great to talk to you, man.
Take it out. Thank you.
Strong.
All right, there we go. Once again, that's Tom Peyer. The book is Penultiman. As he mentioned, it's in comic book stores now, and it'll be in legit bookstores. Real
Alex, how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you?
Sorry, man. I tell it like it is.
You're still down at Barnes & Noble every morning, just like rolling through the stacks. Just checking their Dewey Decimal.
Yep, that's how Barnes & Noble works. All right, we're going to welcome
libraries.
We're going to welcome our second guest in here. She is the creator of a new book called The Hazards of Love. Her name is Stan Stanley, and this book is very weird and very cool. Very romantic. Stan Stanley, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
I'm a little concerned. I don't think you know how Barnes and Noble works. But
It's been a while. Let me be honest.
Listen,
They're big buildings with books everywhere.
yeah.
I think
All
I think
right,
we're
okay.
saying the same thing.
Okay.
I think we're saying the same
Got the
thing. Here.
basic.
You go in, all the books are free. You take whatever you want. and
There's
you
a
walk
person
out.
at the front who's like, please be
Tries to stop
quiet.
you.
That's a library. That's a library.
Right.
No, they want you to be quiet everywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere there's books. It's like, let's sit and think.
Go in, order a plain slice, one with pepperoni. You get a drink. Yeah.
A classic New York Barnes and Noble has pizza, coffee.
Stan,
and a
we're
rat.
very far afield from your book. Hazards of Live is a very beautiful, very lovely book. Very. Well, I almost hesitate to spoil it because going in, I went in completely clean reading the book, and I was like, oh, this is a very nice romance book about a bunch of teens. Maybe they're in love, maybe they're not. That's not what it is at all.
No,
How do you pitch the book? What is the concept for it? What do you feel comfortable sharing without spoiling stuff?
So my spoiler is it's a book written out of spite, right? It's a book about a queer teen from Queens who gets sucked into this surreal underworld and has to hustle their way back home, right? And that's kind of like my elevator pitch, right? It's sort of a modern day take on classic stories like Alice in Wonderland and those sort of down the rabbit hole kind of things, right?
Yeah.
Well, where did it start then? Because the mythology, the look of it is so surreal and very different. It's not specifically like they're going into a Egyptian underworld or they're going into this other type of area. How did it all come together for you, or what was the initial spark?
Oh, that's a great question. I purposefully wanted to avoid anything that resembled anything that could be said to be like, oh yes, this looks like this is the Egyptian section of the museum, right?
Right.
Or yes, we are now in ancient Greek times. So my inspiration for the sort of surreal world that our main character Amparo ends up in is in part, it's the fact that whenever I read fantasy novels, it was always the same forest. I don't know. It's always the same forest. It's the same forest in Game of Thrones. It's the same forest in Lord of the Rings. It is really Northern European, and I wanted to see a different kind of forest. I wanted something that was more like the forest I knew of. I grew up in Mexico. I am from Mexico. And I just wanted something a little more vibrant, I guess. I had this idea of like this very neon, surreal, magic realism look to the book, right?
Yeah, I was going to say the sort of black backing on all the pages is so, I love how different that is. It just feels wildly different than anything else.
Thank you. It's something that was a lot of fun to play with. The original version is online. And so when you're putting a comic online, you've got actually so much space you can play with on the screen, right? And so many different things you can do with your page that if it's all the same color, I don't want to say you can trick people, but you can mess with the panels. And I see we have some of the first parts of the book here, which I almost feel bad about because I'm like, yes, the mundane parts, but we don't want to spoil the audience either, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of the kind of the beginning part, I want to say, as someone who loves love stories and rom-coms and stuff, I really love the moment where, the two kind of run into each other and, the one person is very convinced that they're not cool. And the other person's like, what are you talking about? Like, you do your own thing. You're like your own, you got yourself figured it out. And I love that kind of like outside perspective of different people. We're so kind of in our own little worlds that like, sometimes kind of looking out, it seems like maybe you're a little smarter than you are, got things together. So I thought it was like a really great connection point for those two.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, I figure that's kind of important too, right? We never know what it is about someone else that makes them shine for us.
Right. Yeah. It was really cool.
Well, to that end, then, when you are designing these two characters who are falling in love in particular, or maybe falling in love, what's important there? What are the building blocks that you need to lay in the place to make that relationship potentially work?
Certainly, you have to flesh out the individuals before you flesh out a romance or any kind of relationship. It's kind of the idea that you're not writing a relationship. You're not writing, yes, this is the story of boy meets girl. I have the formula here.
Yeah.
That's not how it works in real life. It's especially not how it works for queer folks, right? Or for non-neurotypical folks. We don't have a script. We're just kind of doing our best. And so when writing and trying to convey that, you got to be honest and just got to stay with the awkward as it can be. So yeah, I'm glad that awkwardness came through.
Well, on the other side, go ahead, Justin. Please.
I was say I love the idea that not having a script. So is this then like a script? Is this like the beginning of building a library, as we were sort of talking about? I definitely know what it is now. For romances, yeah, I'm nailing it.
Sort of. Problem is, we don't have a lot to work with, or not a lot to work with, but we don't have. See, Barnes and Noble is a big, big bookstore, right? There are so many books there, and there is a tiny, tiny queer section, and the queer books are. When I started writing, one reason I wanted to write what I do is because I was tired of the tragic queer narrative. And even though it's called The Hazards of Love and does start with two people kind of feeling each other out, and maybe they like each other, maybe not, it's complicated. I didn't want to write a book that was just about romance. I wanted an adventure story. I want queer sci-fi. I want queer space operas. I want queer Game of Thrones, I want all those options that non-queer people have already. I have a friend who says, we'll know we're getting there when we finally get an action movie that has a gay hero. And it's not like a joke. It's just a regular action movie. It's just everything else goes exactly the way that an action movie formula goes, right?
And where do you think our sort of pop culture is in that journey? Do you feel like that's close, far away? I think about this a lot. I'm curious as someone to talk to you and hear what you think.
That's a great question. It's hard because I'm like, my initial answer is to say, I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean,
if you could give us an exact number of days.
Well, I don't mean that specifically. I just mean like, is it building? Are we getting there? Because it's hard to tell, and hard to tell from someone like me. It's hard to. It seems like it's hard to tell for someone like you. So I'm just curious.
Here's the thing. I will say one of the things that I'm pleased with. We can't always rely on like the big name comic book publishers to tell our stories properly. Sometimes they try and it's not there's this thing where people will write what they think is a good non-binary character, and it's like, here's a bald humanoid that dresses in gray and has no identifying features whatsoever.
You're like, whoa.
I don't know how many non-binary people you know, but they all look like drunk children's entertainment show hosts who are going to Disneyland and are maybe hoping to meet the one. So, it's that sort of thing where they really have to. It's great to want to include more diversity, but you got to include that in the writing room too. Otherwise, it's going to ring false, ring hollow. And I have seen in my years writing comics a lot more steps towards that. And that's great and wonderful. But on the indie side of it, that's kind of where we end up seeing more of it too, right? It's the sort of thing where for ages we were told, well, if you don't like it, go make your own content. And so we have for at least 2 decades, we've been doing stuff like that, right? Online at least. And yeah, so I don't know how much we'll catch up in the mainstream. I am delighted to see more representation in cartoons, in books, in movies, in novels. It's from where we were decades ago to where we are now. It's really something, but we're not all the way there yet.
Yeah. Like you're saying, you want to get to a place with any sort of representation where it's not about the representation. It's just another character that is in the fold of the thing that's being created. And for a lot of things and a lot of different groups, it's not quite there yet. But Hazards of Love is a great step in that direction. I did want to ask you, and this is a little off what we were just talking about, but to get back to the whole magic realism of the thing, when you have... And we've talked about this on the show before, but when you have the magical world like this, how do you set up the rules? How do you decide what can and can't happen when technically, when you're putting magic in a story, anything potentially could happen?
You're right. Part of that is having the rules for yourself as an author and knowing why things are happening the way they're happening. The characters may not know. The audience may not know initially. They might not ever know. Some stories are like that. But you, at least the author, should have an idea of what's going on so that there's a consistency of sorts. And it's not a spoiler to say that at some point, part of the premise is the main character, Amparo, is trying to figure out what these rules are and how they work. And it's the idea of in a magic world where you don't know the rules and have to figure them out again. There's so much trial and error. There's so much having to realize and let go of what you know to be true and seeing what the new status quo is, right?
Hazards of Love is available now, right? You can pick it up?
Indeed. You can get it at all fine libraries, bookstores, and
whichever one you walk into. And will there be more? You definitely, you're leaving it open at the end, so it seems like there will be.
I don't know why I said thank you to that. I'm like, yes, you noticed it's part 1 of 3.
I'm very observant, as I've proven time and again in this conversation.
Well, the second book should be out sometime next year. And hopefully if I do my own hustling, the third one the year after that, we'll see. But so there's a plan, there's a story arc, and there's a timetable.
Well, I just
the most important part, a timetable.
I just want to say I really enjoyed the characters and the art, and the storytelling was really, really enjoyable. It's a great read. So thank you for putting it out.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Stan. Have a great night. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Good luck.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Once again, that's Stan Stanley. The book is called Hazards of Love, and it's available now. Part 1, right, Justin?
Yep. That's what part 1 is out. And then comes part 2, and then part 3.
Yeah, that's how numbers work.
In that order.
What are you doing? I know how numbers work.
Okay.
Yeah. The numbers are on the Dewey Decimal System.
Alex, can I ask you something?
Yeah, what's up?
Do you have Tom Peyer on sometimes just to check with your future self to see how you're doing, just to make sure that you're doing all right?
Yeah, I thought you knew that every show we have one of my loopers on.
Okay, because it was uncanny, and I was just kind of like, oh,
really?
My God. Yeah,
Spot,
it looks like you.
Spot Alex's looper.
Yeah.
If you can.
Oh my
That's
God.
fine. I don't mind. I'm just
No, I mean, it's doing great work. I mean, it's.
honestly, I feel like we're starting to loop each other at this point.
Yeah. I was like, it could be me too. It was more I was looking at. Anyways, sorry.
Anyways, it's fine. We're gonna move on with our next section, which is my favorite section because you make it up. It's your audience question.
Oh, but before we get to that, actually, I should say there is some. I've actually got some breaking news.
Oh,
Whoa!
breaking news! Wait, let me play
Yeah.
the breaking news sound cue here. Here we
Wait.
go.
Justin, do they bring an arrow back? Is that what's breaking?
Oh, is that
that's
it?
a
No.
that's a shame, sort of. Yeah, they're not bringing back Arrow. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
That's not the news I'm breaking.
Oh.
It's a great guess, but no.
Wait. No. I have a guess too. Is it a Cypher series on HBO Max?
That's a great guess.
I
Definitely.
don't know if that makes sense because Cypher is an X-Men character who's owned by Disney, so it would be on Disney Plus, and that was a dumb thing that I said.
Well,
Go ahead.
Don't beat
What is it?
yourself up
What is it,
over
Justin? That's a
It's
stupid
not
thing
like-
I suggested.
Oh my God! What just happened?
That's too bad, Alex. It's always embarrassing when you do something
Yeah,
wildly dumb like
it
that.
makes no sense, but I said it.
It is crazy that you said that. You said it.
Yeah.
Those are great guesses, but no, it's news from manscaped.com. Which is, of course, my primary news source. It's what they're calling a pubic service announcement. I'm so sorry. About the creation of the Lawnmower 4.0. It's a trimmer which is now available for purchase in the USA and Canada.
Oh,
Ooh,
okay. I'm getting some additional news here on twitter.com. I always surf Twitter during the show when you guys get real boring. Over 2 million men worldwide trust Manscaped, and with this exclusive offer for you, you can get 20% off and free worldwide shipping. Just use the code FANSIDED20 at manscaped.com.
Did you guys get your Lawnmower 4.0?
I
Because
did.
I legitimately had one delivered to my home.
Yeah, same. Pete,
Yeah, I'm all
Wait, are
lawnmower
you holding
now,
up-
baby.
Pete, are you holding up the literature?
That's right.
Wow.
You got to read it before you use it.
I hesitate to ask this, but did you use it, Pete?
Oh man, it's they say in the copy they say things about but I appreciated how gentle it was, and the light is huge. The light is a great feature to have on there. I loved it.
I gotta say, why do they write the copy when Pete is living it?
And this is true. You actually used it, right, Pete?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
and
I
it's
don't
kinda
know why
funny.
you
We've been
guys
doing
wouldn't.
this. We've
It's
been doing this
fucking
bit
free, and it's
for
great.
weeks about you being like, no, I don't want to talk about this Manscaped thing. What are you doing? Why are you standing up right now? Manscaped undies.
Oh man.
I thought for
They-
a second you were going to stand up and be like, really quick, let me give you a demonstration of what it looks like.
Yeah. Oh my god.
That's
Oh.
just a little Manscaped magic right there.
I tell you, the underwear is nice.
Yeah.
Great. I wear the pamphlets. So
Smart.
Alex again somehow being the weirdest in a very weird segment.
Yeah.
So
So
this
this funny
thing-
that we're not using the Netflix thing right now. Yeah, that's funny.
It's
wait.
got wireless charging,
Hold
a
on, just wait a
travel
second.
lock.
Here we go.
Again,
There we go.
we always want your technical person to say, "Just wait a second."
Hold on. Hold on.
If you're still trimming your face with your ball trimmer, I'm so sorry to say that. It's time to make some changes. Or your balls with your face trimmer, or your eyelashes with your dog trimmer. None of that is important.
Hey, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code FANSIDED20 at manscaped.com.
That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code FANSIDED20. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. And you can use the right tools for the job by asking a question of us, because now it is actually time for audience questions. You can ask a question here on Crowdcast. Just drop something and ask a question. If you're over on YouTube, you can drop something in there. We have a very nice statement here from Stanley over on YouTube. Says, you guys are natural salesmen. LOL. And I believe the LOL stands for loving our lives, right?
Wow.
Yeah, there you go. First, though, what's everybody drinking? Let's
Yeah.
move from ads.
Anybody
to
having
something
a
that's
delicious-
non-sponsored?
Margarita.
Wait, what?
What? I'm drinking the Five Boroughs Summer Ale, which is lovely. And I'm going to attempt to open this torpedo with this tool I found in my basement.
Nice.
You should use those shears to open it up. I'm drinking a 6-point Bengali. Always a good drink.
Oh, yeah, that you can.
Pete, what about you? You drinking your ball hair or something?
Why would
Alex.
I drink that?
What?
Alex.
Why are you
gross.
mad at me for using something that we got in the
you.
mail?
How dare you?
I'm drinking Corona Light.
Nice. This is from Nelson Martinez over on YouTube. Says, I've jumped back in the theater game so far. I've seen Nobody, Ride the Last Dragon, Wrath of Man, and Demon Slayer. What have you guys seen? Any of these, and what did you think? Are you going back soon? We've talked about this a couple of times, but let's do our weekly theater check-in. How are you feeling about it? Are you feeling comfortable to go back to a theater yet or not?
I'm ready. I just haven't had the time because of parenting reasons, not virus reasons.
Yeah.
Kid Flex.
No, that's
Wait,
never
hold
a
on.
kid.
I'll get that.
Yeah.
I'll get that sound cue.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to go.
Oh, no.
Great.
listen, yeah.
I think one day next
Make
week.
them do it again.
I think one day next week I'm going to go to the movies.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You guys?
I've been, this is kind of silly, but also I can fully stand by this. I've been slowly testing myself since Sunday was the first day I was fully vaxxed. So just doing like, what am I comfortable with in terms of walking around without a mask? When I drop off the kids, I'll walk back. And there's a certain point when it's not crowded where I've been taking off the mask and walking, and I've been doing more and more of that every day. Just because, I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but honestly, like, I feel a sense of panic when I'm not wearing the mask and seeing somebody coming, even though I know it's fully safe. So just trying to train myself to get more comfortable. So I don't know that I'm ready to jump back into a theater quite yet, but I feel like by Black Widow, that's my goal. That's what I want to see.
Nice. You're trying to get in the mental shape by the time Black Widow comes out.
Yeah, and do you think that everybody in the theater is gonna be wearing masks, like, or are people just gonna be like akimbo? You know what I mean, like
Kimbo?
yeah,
Akimbo.
you know what I mean, like just pulled it down or waving around in the air. I think if everybody's wearing it, I think I would be cool with being inside in the theater as long as we're all like, yeah, we got them on right now. Obviously, you can't eat the popcorn while the mask is on, but I'm just worried I'd be freaked out and looking around like, put your fucking mask on, dude. You know what I mean?
Just real quick, Pete,
Well,
how many masks have you eaten when you've tried to eat your popcorn with your mask on? 5, 6?
Well, I haven't been outside to do that yet, but otherwise the number would be high.
I do think people will. I don't know if movie theaters are still requiring them or will be requiring them for much longer. So I guess it is going to be. We're in a situation now because of the CDC announcement where people are just going to be unmasked.
Yeah.
It's what's happening.
NYC, I think they came out today and they said specifically, no, we're still going to require masks indoors at this point. But like you said, there's going to be so much pressure because CDC was like, no rules, just right.
Yeah.
Everybody's just been like, I don't care.
It's
Whatever.
one big Outback steakhouse here.
And to
I was
answer
in-
go ahead.
I was in Pennsylvania last week and weekend.
Why
and
you didn't fucking swing by and say hello, you piece of shit?
Yeah,
I
how
was
big is
way in
Pennsylvania?
the.
It's like a small neighborhood.
Yeah, it's
right?
super small, dude. Like you could have swung by and say what up.
Yes, definitely on the way there.
Pennsylvania's
back with
the
my-
Rhode Island of giant places.
We were in Lancaster, Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
which is a ways west, and it was pretty fast and loose out there in the
Just
mask
so you know, it's pronounced
department.
Lancaster.
I'm bad at saying it.
Okay.
Lancaster. It's pronounced Lancaster.
To answer the first part of the question, though, I've seen Nobody, which I thought was a lot of fun. Ryan the Last Dragon, real good as well. And I personally have not seen Wrath of Man or Demon Slayer. How about you guys?
I haven't seen any of those movies.
I went to the drive-in and saw The Last Dragon, and that was enjoyable. I wanted to see Nobody, but forgot to do so.
Yeah. And then they got rid of it. It doesn't exist anymore, which is sad.
Yeah.
This is a question over from Crowdcast from Joe. What do we need to do to bring back Throwback Stack as a monthly or yearly special? This was a discussion that was going on a little bit in the Patreon Slack today.
Yeah.
Back at the beginning of the pandemic when they weren't releasing comics, we actually had time to go back and talk about older graphic novels, which was super fun. It's something that we have talked about doing for, I don't know, 15 years or so now, and we just have never really had time. So I love it. It just comes down to time.
I we should try to do it, or we could throw one at the end of a stack, maybe.
Yeah.
Or just do like a separate, just kind of throwback stack every once in a while. Just sprinkle one in there.
Oh, Pete, you want to do more podcasts? Is that what you're saying?
Got him. Got him.
Classic.
Busted.
For something like that, I would put it in a little extra time.
Put it on the soundboard.
Whoa.
Put it on the soundboard.
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
Oh my
The
God,
sad part about this is
awful, dude.
This
You're just
feels like
wait,
feels like a
hold on.
On
callback.
a cheesesteak.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Is that what we wanted?
You're
It feels
like
like a
old man
callback.
looking for things while you're like that is just the worst.
What?
You might as well
but
put your
look,
glasses down here and like, wait a sec. What is
That's the look of your future. This is the future of Alex.
Hold on a second, guys. Stop
What I like
talking.
about it
can't-
actually, just visually, is that my headphones kind of make it look like I have my glasses on a chain so that they can hang around my neck.
Oh, I assume that's exactly what that was. Those aren't headphones, Alex. Those are 2 hearing aids, I believe.
I can't.
Double hearing aids.
But yes, good question, Joe. We always say we'll try it, and we just do not. But it would be super fun to do at some point.
Keep the pressure on us, Joe.
Keep the pressure. That definitely works with everything else. Nick Grayson says, now that Jonathan Kent has really popped as Superman's son and Superboy, where does that leave Connor Kent? And what would you say would be a good story for Connor to move forward with?
Well, Connor was over in another title for a while, right?
Connor right now, he's been through so many iterations, so he even knows what his exact status is, but he's over in Suicide Squad right now, and it's pretty great. Like, it's a good, fun story. There's a weird mystery about why he's there, why Amanda Waller needs him. He's clearly a hero, but she has him on a leash anyway, and it's neat. It's definitely that, to me, is the hook that keeps me going back to Suicide Squad at this point, because otherwise it's a very good, very solid Suicide Squad book, but we've read good, solid Suicide Squad books before. This is something that there's a mystery there that definitely is keeping me very intrigued.
I've always loved Connor Kent. He's got that tactile telekinesis, which I have always responded to. And I will say the storyline over at Suicide Squad is like, it's weird that you're here. And so I feel like I want to see it where it's not about how weird it is that he's there, but eventually, hopefully, we'll get there.
Cool. This is a question from Kevin. What are your favorite comics-themed board or role-playing games?
Ooh.
I mean, I'll give a shout-out to, I think this was a birthday present, or maybe some sort of holiday present from our wonderful watchers, Aaron and John, but running around Riverdale, the board game. My family and I, we play it all the time. I played it with my kids just the other day. It's super fun.
Adorable.
It's basically like Sorry, but with the Riverdale characters. Super cute. My son was like, can you give me, I want to play with Warhead. And I was like, Warhead? And he's like, what's his actual name? And I was like, Jughead.
Weird that he said Warhead.
I like it. He's like a mini me
Very
where he
intense.
kind of remembers it a little bit, but not the whole thing.
He also spent all day talking about Eliza Dushku.
That's a smart kid. You got to give him a raise.
Uh-oh. I feel like we're going to have to test this kid's genetic history. We might have a Pete on our hands.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other answers? Comic book-based board games or role-playing games?
I don't know. I got the Star Wars Monopoly as a gift once. It was fun until I lost my shit and ripped it in half.
Why were you so mad? Very Chewbacca reaction.
Well, you let the Wookiee win.
You are the Wookiee.
I'll tell you, this is probably a bad answer, but there was a listener of the show who sent us a while back the Lock and Key card game, which we were gonna play, I think, on the Lock and Key podcast.
Ooh.
And then I moved and it got lost in one of my boxes until I think this weekend when I was like, oh, that's right.
You found it?
Yeah.
All right.
We should play that at some point.
Yeah.
Are you saying you want to get together?
Ooh, yeah, that would be good. Pete, would you like to do that as like some sort of a podcast?
Oh, sure. Yeah, as long as I can stay 6 feet away from you and you wear your mask at all times.
Nope.
Nope,
I'm
not
gonna
necessary
have
anymore.
My popcorn hole is going to be open.
Oh, man.
That's not what that's called, Alex, by the way. You keep talking about your popcorn hole. The only games I play are Uno and what we call the princess game. And those
Which
are not
is-
comic book related. It's a
Is it-
matching game.
What? Well, you dressed your kids up, and they got to see if they're matching or something like that.
Great guess.
No. Well, let's see if I can get this. You throw your kids in the closet, you shut the door, and they kind of like mix and match, and then you can see which one's which. But that's confusing.
You have to just see if I can remember which one is which.
Yeah.
It's a little parenting.
And they mix it up. They mix it up so you can't tell. If they were standing in one order, you can't.
So hard to tell.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell these two kids
Just
apart.
these two non-twins apart.
Yeah.
That
sounds like a fun game.
That is a fun game. This is from Stanley over on YouTube. Do you guys ever use your talents to act in film or stage productions?
Well, one of us is classically trained, so.
Alex sits back. He's like, "Well, I'll let Justin field this one."
Yeah.
When Alex is the music man, for sure of the three of us. I've acted a fair amount. I was in a movie a while back. And what else? I did a bit on Seth Meyers.
It was Avengers Endgame. You played Captain America. That was pretty cool.
That's right. That was the stage production that we've done in my house throughout the entire pandemic. I miss doing some real acting stuff. Hopefully we're going to get some back. Just being on stage. I was looking through pictures. I had to get a picture of me doing a stage show for some project I was working on. And I looked through and I was like, oh man, that was so fun. Really missing that.
I don't
You're
remember
talking about the
whether
Charlie Brown Christmas.
And Charlie Brown Christmas we do every year as well.
I don't remember whether we talked about this on last week's show or not at this point, but we definitely have discussed a little bit in terms of what we can do with live shows going forward when things open up. And I think not decision, but the thing that we were kind of talking about, particularly because Pete is in Pennsylvania now, is trying to do things. Definitely try to do live shows going forward, but they're probably going to be a little more sporadic. We don't know what's going on with the Pit as a venue or anything like that. These virtual shows, I think, have actually been great, and we've been really enjoying them. But we'll try to do some live shows, just not weekly, most likely.
Yeah, we're gonna get back together. Come on, I gotta feel this. I gotta feel this energy in person.
Yeah, you guys got to come over so you can check out my popcorn hole.
I feel like I get a lot of exposure to your popcorn hole. And shout out to Kevin in the comments. Justin, aren't you getting some stage time one Sunday in early June? Yes, a show I do called Characters Welcome will be returning to the stage in early June in New York City.
That is exciting.
What stage?
It's called Caveat down in Village.
Yeah. And there's a couple of things that you should probably know about it first, sort of like ancillary things that.
Oh boy.
Sorry.
Come on.
Jonathan McCool says, hey, did you guys name your kids after comic book characters? I definitely did, and I don't know half as much about comics as you guys do. Yes, my daughter is named Wolverine, and my son is named Batman.
Yeah.
Penny.
Penny. No, we talked about it. Like there was a point when we wanted to name my daughter, or I floated the idea of naming my daughter Kitty after Kitty Pryde.
Oh, that's weird.
What happened?
That's weird, man. That is weird. I'm glad that guy just jumped down.
Well, I didn't want, honestly, I know what you guys are getting at, but I didn't want an association with a comic book character. That's the thing. Like, I did not want to think about a fictional character every time I looked at this real person.
Huh. Well, I'm gonna name if I ever have a third child, a son, I'm gonna name him Nathan Summers, but the one that became Strife is the full name.
Why don't you just call him Stripe?
Oh, that's sort of aggressive for a name.
Oh man.
But you did not, right, Justin?
No comic book. I feel like that was a sort of a stretch when
Did
when
you try to were you like, talking with your wife about it? Were you like trying to get a couple names just on the board as far as like options, and maybe
Of course
she wouldn't catch on or something?
Yeah, the names going in when we knew we were having a girl was were Starman, obviously. Was up there, which again a little bit tricky. Speedball.
Oh, didn't try Penance. Penance.
I was going to be Speedball Penance Tyler. Just
nice.
Just the sharpest children's names possible.
Yeah.
Speaking of sharp, I'm having a truly difficult time opening this beer.
You should try with those rusty clippers. I think that'd be easier.
This claims to be a bottle opener, but it is not.
It should work.
Not to interrupt, but we have a question here for you, Justin, from Nelson. Over on YouTube, Justin, how'd you like that last episode of Mayor of Easttown? What do you want to see in the last 2 episodes? Classic comic book question. What's going on, Mayor of Easttown?
If you guys aren't watching this, it's a great show. It's a slow start, perhaps, but man, this last episode was some of the best television I've seen in quite some time. Edge of your seat.
Oh,
I sat up. How often do you sit up?
Normally, I'm lying straight down and asleep when I'm watching TV.
I was leaned back. I was almost laying
sleeping.
down.
You're not watching TV.
Fair enough. This is from Jay Citizen. What's a non-sci-fi fantasy crossover you want to see, i.e. Rory Gilmore interviewing Midge Maisel? And that's a good one, by the way. I like that.
Yeah. A tip of the hat to you for that.
Non-sci-fi fantasy crossover you want to see.
That's
Do
good.
I watch or read anything that isn't sci-fi or fantasy? Just got to do a quick check there.
Let's see.
I would love to see Charles Barkley on This Is Us. Just like really cutting his acting teeth.
I don't think that counts. That counts as it's not a crossover. That's a casting choice.
Well, he's from inside NBA. Anyways.
Oh, I see. You want to see an epic crossover between all those characters?
I would love to see Ted Danson from The Mayor on Mayor of Easttown, because then they could do a fun like Mayor.
Oh,
that would be fun.
Oh. For a second, I thought you were going to keep going with that, and you were just broken.
Mayor.
We finally broke Alex. Mind trap. What about Ted Lasso? Could cross over with the local news?
Well, he did do a bunch of. That's how he started. So yeah, that'd be fun.
I mean, it's not on it anymore, but I feel like throwing Ted Lasso on Parks and Rec would be a 1-to-1 or something like that.
Yeah, him and Leslie Knope together. Yeah. Come on, forget about it.
Yeah, Pete, where do you want to see Ted Lasso?
Everywhere, every single place.
Ted Lasso and Invincible. He could be, a victim of some sort.
He could be chopped in half.
Yeah, he could be punched right through. Yeah.
Cool. Good question. We got one more here. This is from Stray Bullet. This is for Pete. Are you going to miss living in NYC when the world opens back up?
Yes. Let's get personal.
Yeah, I'm completely in denial. I'm going to miss going to my favorite bar and getting free drinks. I'm going to miss
the only thing to do in New York City.
That's right. It feels
New York, the Big Apple.
When I think of New York, I think of the Pit Loft and Pioneers and Simple Studios Pioneers and the Pit Loft.
That's
and
where
just
we were.
29th Street between 6th and 7th.
That's where we lived.
That's it. Maybe you pop over to Penn Station for a nice slice or something like that.
Go fuck yourself. I go get Krispy Kreme there all the time.
Your classic Sbarro pizza and a homemade Krispy Kreme donut, fresh from the Amish stove.
So you're gonna miss it, Pete?
Yeah, for sure. It was kind of like I just, zipped out when all the madness was going on, and when things opened back up, and people are, I'm sure there'll be tons of pictures and stuff, and I'll be. Well, if I was on Facebook, I would be sad, but since I've been removed. It won't be as too bad.
Right.
But maybe
Instagram, on Facebook, right?
Yeah. Hey, anybody out there, if you see me on Facebook, that's not fucking me. Somebody stole my fucking thing, and it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Please harass that fucking
makes a
guy.
little sense, I was on Facebook the other day, and whoever is Pete LePage was like, Ted Lasso is overrated. Was the last.
Oh my God.
I have never watched Adventures of Power, and I never will. That was another thing that they posted.
It's weird. It's almost like someone
Wait,
you
Calvin,
know.
did you take over my goddamn Facebook account?
No. Hold on one second. I got to post this thing on Facebook about how Mephisto was right to take Peter Parker.
And let me just say, we were giving Alex some shit about appearing old, as he's doing again now. But Pete, you saying someone hacked my Facebook page, watch out, is the oldest thing you could ever say.
That's right.
Right now.
What was funny was it happened to my dad, and I was like, "Oh, you're old, you're ridiculous." And then it happened to me, and I was like,
All right, folks. I think that's it for our audience questions. We're going to move on with our next section, which is trivia, and for that, I'm going to turn it over to Pete LePage.
"Whoa!" All right, this is the part we give back to you, the lovely audience. It's an opportunity to win $25 free in the form of a gift card to Midtown Comics online. So please give us a first hand up or whatever.
Or I want free stuff or anything like that.
Yeah.
Oh, God, Kevin, no, we can't do the quiz. I don't know if I'm ready for the quiz today. I don't know if I'm emotionally prepared for Kevin's quiz.
We will get to Kevin's quiz. Kevin, don't worry. We've been talking about it. We're just, it's like when you're at the bottom or halfway up Mount Everest and you're like, should we go up further or just die here? And we haven't decided yet.
But we got to get Kev back on for sure.
Yeah,
but you don't know
I'd
what.
like to do trivia. Or Pete, do you want to choose somebody from the audience?
Well, I would like to,
is that
but
how
I
it
don't
works?
know. Yeah, I don't. I don't want to just grab somebody who doesn't want to participate.
Yeah.
Is there anything on the tube?
Nobody on the tube. Nobody wants to do trivia today. That's very sad.
Man.
All right, let's cut it.
We're gonna have to cut this section.
Oh man.
Tell you
The
what,
star of trivia
I'm gonna count to 10.
Oh, okay, don't dad us. Don't dad us.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a hand up from Ben the Border Collie. It worked.
Thank
It worked,
you,
guys.
Ben.
There we go. Bring it in, Ben the Border Collie here
Yes.
into the stream to do some trivia. And trivia.
Wow.
Gotta win $25.
Alex stealing back the oldest man on Comic Book Club title from Pete.
Were you just watching Tiny Toons or something? What was that?
Probably.
Just
I don't think we've made it this far on the sound cue in a while. It's interesting. Apparently it loops. It's fun.
that is not good. Hey.
Hey, Ben. How are you doing?
How are
I'm
ya?
gonna turn it over to Pete, and then in a couple of minutes, you're going to have $25.
All right. So first off, love the shirt. You got a lot of fantastic art going on in the background.
Yeah.
Congratulations on being dope. All right, here we go. Today's trivia is on topical comic news and a small nod to the legend Doris Day. Please listen to all three options before you make your selection.
Doris Day.
Here we go. Question number 1. Marvel announced to celebrate 30 years of Deadpool with what new comic title? Is it A, Deadpool, Guns, Swords, and Mistakes? Is it B, Deadpool, Black, White, and Blood? Or is it C, Kari Kinkenborg? So it's either A, or you could pick B, which is the correct answer.
Go with B then.
Oh, smart. Yeah, don't
All
overthink
right.
it. Don't overthink
Yeah.
it. Black, White, and Blood. Should be fun. Can't wait to read it. Question number 2. DC announced a new horror comic that already has impressive pre-sales. What is the title? Is it A, Murder All Creepy Dudes, B, The Nice House on the Lake, or is it C, Antonio Banderas? So it's either A, which I made up, or it's B.
I'd like to see A, but I'll go with B.
All right. Well,
Nice.
well said. Well said. It is B. It's not a scary title, but apparently it's scary as shit. Here we go.
A lot of controversy in the comments about how you're not an actual border collie, Ben. Would you care to respond?
I like to dress as a border collie sometimes.
Good for you. Good for you.
Now we have Pete.
Pete,
You know.
you can talk about this.
I don't
You know
what you're
about
talking
this.
Yeah.
Yes.
You did
No,
that
I
for a
don't.
while, right? Professionally?
No, it
Human
didn't.
sexual
And,
dog.
I don't appreciate what you're trying to do because some people might be into stuff like that, and I don't want to hurt their feelings. All right, here we go. Third one.
It's all
Last
positive.
one.
Hashtag Pete the Poodle.
What? You're a piece of shit. What cult film is getting a prequel comic? Is it A, Turbo Kid, B, Hobo with the Shotgun, or is it C, Clancy Brown? So it's either A and $25 is yours, or you can be completely wrong.
I'll go with A.
A is correct.
Woo!
Nailed it.
You
Congratulations.
did it. Congratulations. Ben,
Shoot us an email and we will send you a $25 gift card. But just a heads up, we're a little backed up. Zalvin takes a little bit, so eventually we'll get to you.
Yeah, I take a little cut off the top just for myself.
Yeah,
So,
he gets
as we
10%.
know.
No, shoot an email, comicbookclublive@gmail.com. We'll get that right off to you. Thanks, Ben. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Take care, man. Great seeing you.
Later.
There we go.
Just
And what's the
wait.
secret quiz?
Oh, wow, you
Pete?
did it. Okay, great.
I remembered.
All right, it's the 2015 classic, the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water.
Pete, I have a question. I don't want to get behind the
Sure,
mask
Yeah,
too
don't-
far here.
I don't know if you'll like it back here.
Get underneath inside the dome. But what is the rhyme / reason with your secret quiz at this point? Is it a random movie that you happen to Google, or what's the?
Well, glad you asked, Justin. See, what it is I look for the person first that we would like to give a shout out to, the legend that I would like to say, hey, I'm glad you existed and thank you for making movies, and then do a fun shout out with some fun names.
Great. So let me ask a second follow-up question, if you have a moment, Pete.
Yeah, sure.
And Alex,
sure.
of course, if I may I'll yield my time right after this.
Yes, no problem. Please go ahead. I'm happy to hear where you're going with this.
Maybe you could spend this next couple of minutes just familiarizing yourself with the soundboard. Pete, why did you choose Doris Day in this iteration of fan favorite segment trivia?
First off, Doris Day was a legend of the silver screen.
No doubt.
And she died, in the last couple of years, which is sad. And
Couple of years.
And so it's just one of those things where she deserves her day in the sun.
100%. I'm glad she's able to find this platform. Why you didn't want to give a shout out to legend Charles Grodin, who went down
he passed
today?
away today.
Shout out to Charles Grodin, one of
That
my
was
favorites.
Wait, are you
fucking
serious?
rude. Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
He passed
man.
away earlier today. And his last words were, I hope Pete does me trivia.
Well, yeah, eventually, Charles, you'll definitely. I just didn't know. And,
Chuck Grodin.
Don't try to put that on me, you fuckers.
Well, I'm just saying, keep your eye on the celebrity death charts a little bit closer, Pete, because it feels like you're a couple years behind. Shout out to the movie Heart and Souls, featuring RDJ in the lead and Charles Grodin.
Yeah.
Great movie. Great Grodin performance.
Great Muppet Caper. Also a great,
It's a great.
great Grodin
Yeah.
performance. Oh, I think I found the sound cue here.
What was that?
Truly.
I think that was something Aaron made of me.
Is that you?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it is.
It does
Sitting on
sound
that
creepy.
one for a while.
Well, see you in my nightmares, looping Alex laugh. Truly terrifying.
Oh my God.
How quickly just a normal laugh of Alex.
Do you know what also is terrifying is how many comic books are coming out? It's really difficult to figure out
Terrifying?
which ones people should pick up, what should they read, and that's why they turn to experts like us to tell them what they are looking forward to. Pete, what are you looking forward to that's coming out this week?
Well, there's a lot of great stuff, but the one that I very much enjoyed is The Many Deaths of Layla Starr number 2.
That's what I was gonna pick. We never line up.
That's true.
You bastard.
I'm surprised that the one that you didn't pick was Batman Fortnite 0 Point.
Oh my God!
3,
Yeah, that's really great.
which I continue to not believe how good and how much fun this comic is. I am having such a blast reading it, and in particular this issue, I cackled out loud at certain points. We're going to be talking about both those books on the Stack Podcast.
Well, I have a pick too. I have a backup
I thought
pick.
you were also doing The Many Deaths of Layla Starr.
I mean, of course, that's the one I wanted to say, but when Pete said it, I of course reverted to my second pick, Nightwing. The issue of Nightwing.
Oh,
Nightwing
yes.
right now.
Yes, dude.
Nightwing right now is so good. It feels like the Agent 37 stuff that was back in a few years ago that was so good. Truly, yeah, Tom Taylor's writing it. It is excellent, just really excellent. Excellent art. The covers have been just epic. It's great Dick Grayson. It's some great Barbara Gordon stuff happening.
Yeah.
Like, I am happy every issue.
I would also like to just give an extra shout out since Justin got two. Hazards of Love. I know we were talking about it earlier, but man, really special. Really loved it.
Awesome. I'm glad you liked it so much.
And while we're going around the horn here,
Good. Yeah.
really liked Jonah and
Oh,
the
yeah!
Impossible Monsters was really good.
Yeah.
I love the art style and the story is starting to really find some depth to it. So I really
Totally
like that.
agree. And folks, that is it for this week's show. A couple of people we want to thank. We want to thank our guest, Tom Peyer. Pick up Penultiman in stores now and bookstores next week on the 25th. Also, Stan Stanley, as we mentioned, The Hazards of Love is out now. You can pick up Volume 1, and it is a lot of fun. Next week on the show, we're going to have a packed one with James and Emmett and Erica Schultz are going to be here to talk about Deadliest Bouquet. Glenn Head is going to be here to talk about Chartwell Manor and maybe a couple of other guests as well. A couple of things to plug. Marvel Vision, our Marvel podcast, continues its march through Phase 1 of the MCU. You can only get that in the Marvel Vision feed. Last week we had a great guest, Julia
It's a random
Alexander.
collection of movies.
Great guest, Julie Alexander, talking about Iron Man 2, which is a lot of fun. This upcoming week, we have Alicia Garuso from Screen Rant is going to be talking about Thor. That's coming up on Friday. So definitely subscribe to that feed. These have been fun ones to do. Riverdale After Dark, our Riverdale podcast, is planning on doing some more episodes, so definitely subscribe to that feed as well. Patreon.com/Comic Book Club. Support the show and all the shows we do. iTunes, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe, listen, and follow. At Comic Book Live on Twitter, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and more. Until next time, good night!
Good night, guys. See you next time.
Why not shake your balls?
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night, and Justin, enjoy your Manscaped, your lawnmower there, the shears thing.
Yeah,
That's what you use, right?
This is what we've been talking about, right? this is the the 4.0.
That's it.
No,
it works
it's
really
not.
well. Pete, it gave you a really nice shave. I really appreciate it. He showed it us before we went.